And we are back with another episode of the Hockey Princess podcast. I'm your host, the Hockey Princess. We got Crusty Old Guy here. Just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, however you watch and listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. Let's get into it. A lot of things have changed, for the first round. Some teams are no longer playing. Some teams, it's a bit of a surprise where they are in the series right now. And some of them have been complete, as expected. For the playoffs, Rangers sweep the Washington Capitals, which gives the statistic that I will just find funny that Matt Rempe has scored more goals in the 2024 playoff season than Alexander Ovechkin.
Wow, are you on the Alex hate train too?
I'm not on the Alex hate train. I just think it's funny. I'm not on the hate train, but I am a firm believer that it takes a full roster to make a deep playoff run, and teams that rely heavily on their main superstar, they don't go as far, or they struggle a lot more than teams that have substantial depth.
I hear you, but Capitals were the ones who made it in. So
yeah, because
I'm sure Pittsburgh would have liked to have been there. So you got to at least give it to them for getting there.
Yeah. But so Rangers advance to second round. They will be playing the Carolina Hurricanes. Because as we found out last night, Carolina Hurricanes booted out the New York Islanders. Very, very exciting. As we talked about last week, the Carolina Hurricanes are an incredibly talented team. Not to say that the Islanders aren't, but the Hurricanes are what they've been for the past couple of years. They've got depth. They've got skill. They've got a healthy Andrei Svechnikov. Freddie Anderson playing great. They just out-dominated the New York Islanders. I definitely think game one very much set the tone for the series, and their ability to flip, the momentum for game one kind of just set the precedent for how the series was going to go.
Yeah, Islanders were no match for Carolina. We all knew that. They both got early round easy pickings for the most part. And now they're both going to have to ramp it up because this is a big boy series coming up then.
It's going to be some really good hockey to watch.
Yeah, it should be fantastic hockey. I've got to figure Carolina's got a little bit more depth at the forward position. They've all got superstars. Again, Freddie's knock has always been that he can't win the big ones, so we'll see if Anderson can do that.
Yeah. My biggest thing was, and maybe you'll have a little bit more insight, I was very much confused on the amount that the Islanders were putting Varlamov in the net compared to Sorokin.
Well, Sorokin did not have a good year. So they rode Varlamov for a little bit to get into the playoffs.
Okay.
And again, you have a coach who's going to tell everyone that he is smarter than you. And that's how he shows it. I'm going to do what most people wouldn't do. And I'm going to start the old crusty goaltender.
I'm going to pull Sorokin and not even give him a chair to sit on. And so he's got to squat in the hallway because I'm Patrick Roy.
Yeah, I don't quite understand it. I didn't listen to a lot of the media stuff.
Right.
I don't know if they wrote him about it, but that's what I would have been doing. Again, this isn't 20 years ago. And you attempt to build things. You've already got a good young goaltender who says, my coach doesn't trust me. My coach doesn't back me. You have to understand the way things are happening. And for Roy to try to go with Varlamov, are you planning to ride him next year then too? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And again, he's in that group that is smarter than everybody else. And that never works out well in this business. So again, I don't know if anybody really questioned him a ton of why he did it. Varlamov got them some big wins, and Sorokin struggled a little bit, but and again, you're trying to build something, so I don't quite get it.
Yeah, I thought that was a little weird. And I think that's also why. I mean, there's many reasons why I like the Carolina Hurricanes, but Rod the Bod seems to be the complete opposite of the way that Roy coaches, in the sense of, or at least in my opinion, he doesn't come off as the I am smarter than everyone. He just seems like an intimidating force.
Yeah, I mean, Rod's got his own thing, and Rod expects maximum effort.
Yeah.
Because he gives it every day. He gave it when he played. I would assume he's still working out for 2.5 hours before they even get there. So, and
he could probably still play. It'd be fine.
Yeah, and we'll get to Rod the Bod and all the rumors of where he's going to be coaching next year.
I know. I heard that today. Did you hear any specific cities? I just heard that it was up in the air. Rod's wanting to stay in Carolina, and Carolina management has been we're not sure. And I'm I'm sorry, didn't this man take you to the playoffs 6 years in a row?
Yeah, they're not sure, and they don't want to spend the money. And Ron Francis is in Seattle. Sure, he's got no problem hiring him.
Well, I mean, we can segue really quick, because Seattle's head coach was fired this week. And there were also rumors that key players on the Seattle Kraken roster had said that they were not re-signing if Hackstall was still the head coach.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly who that would be. I don't think they've got a ton of free agents. So
does Matty have to re-sign?
But he's a restricted free agent. He's going to resign. But again, that's what those exit interviews are for. People get to tell management what they think of everything. And, if you got key players going, this isn't getting it done, what are you going to do?
Hire Rod the Bod.
Yeah, they probably will. As I said, there's a good chance of that. Who the players were, I mean, you would have to figure it's Matty Beniers. Who else do you decide that is just so good that you would need to launch a coach? I mean, Beniers is the top one.
Right.
They've got a lot of other veteran talent, but again, the veteran talent, is probably has no problem speaking up.
You think Schwartz would?
You've got the Schwartz. You got, I forget who else. You've got tons of, you've got the who
it might not even have been younger key pieces, but definitely veterans that you do or kind of assume that they would resign.
Yes. Let's hold on. We've got to now go to. I now have to find this out.
You want me to segue to something real quick, and we can come back to Seattle?
Go ahead and segue.
So the Battle of Florida happened this past week, and as I predicted correctly, Christmas came early. My birthday came early. It was all great because not only did the Florida Panthers advance and beat out Tampa, but guys, that final game, I got to see Tomo Rutu on TV twice. You never really get to see that. Florida out-dominated Tampa. The last game, there's a lot of drama of the goals. They should not have been overturned. They were fine. There's no goalie interference. That's all well and fine. Then the final score would have been 6-3 instead of 6-1. So it really doesn't make that much of a difference.
It made a difference during the game. Yes, it did. It's a 50-50 call. We all know this. He messed with him a tiny bit, not a lot. Coop took his gamble on it because it was a good time to gamble.
Well, and because he always thinks that he's right.
But you guys admitted that he wasn't right.
But don't worry, because if you sided against the refs, don't worry, because they'll have a meeting where they get a nice little report card and they will be held accountable for their mistakes.
Yes. Just like everybody else at their job.
Then after the game, media, everybody talked to the media. John Cooper talked to the media, aired his concerns or in frustrations. I'm surprised he didn't get fined for it, because I'm pretty sure head coaches that have said less, referring to things that the refs have done, and they've gotten fined for it. But he was very upset with in his opinion, there was not really any goalie interference, saying, are the goalies not allowed to battle anymore? At this point, we should just put skirts on them. What a soundbite. He's just dying to get into the John Tortorella old man club of really stupid head coaches that say dumb things. He has then since come out and apologized, said that he said it in the heat of the moment. It's an apology. It's not that bad of an apology. I'll take it. I still don't appreciate what was said. But, I've heard worse apologies from head coaches.
Yeah, and I don't think to put him in the Tortorelli and, the Babcock thing is needs to be done whatsoever.
I'm not saying that he's in the club. I'm saying that he's trying really hard to be a part of the club. He's not there yet. Got to do some weirder stuff.
Yeah, and the reason for no fine for the most part, if he says that after game 4, he gets fined.
Okay.
Usually they give them leeway after a series. They don't mind as much if you complain a little bit about the officiating. They don't want it done in the series.
Okay.
They figure you're trying to manipulate refs. It's just so the line goes a little bit further, I guess, after the series. So, and yes, I said that Tampa would win. I was rooting for Florida, but I was hoping that Tampa would win. So, I mean, not hoping, rooting for Florida, but I picked Tampa to win. Which is, one of my first of many mistakes that'll happen in this playoff round.
That is true. The big thing that came out of that was, we could possibly have seen Steven Stamkos's last game in a Lightning uniform. For those who don't know, he's an unrestricted going into the summer. He's an unrestricted free agent going into the summer. There was a bit of drama at the start of the season, people asking him about contract extension and him basically saying he doesn't know what's going on. Nobody's been talking to him. We don't know. We really haven't gotten any clarification, update, sound bite, or anything that says from either way. But come July 1, he will be a free agent. Should be entertaining.
Yeah, they've got a big decision to make on what they do with him. I don't know what he's looking for. They've got their own cap issues.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's in order to sign younger talent, you're going to need to do something. I mean, you've got Brandon Hagel, who you're giving a $5 million raise to.
As they should.
Huh?
As they should.
Yeah. But so they're tight against the cap to begin with. So there's not much money there for him. Definitely can't do 8.5, which he's at right now.
No.
So that's the whole thing. I'm sure he's looking for 3 or 4 years, and that gets a little janky.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
Very interesting. Did you find our Seattle?
Do you want to go back to Seattle?
Yeah,
go back to Seattle. All right. So what I'm finding out is there's not a lot of people that threaten to not sign because everybody's signed.
Right.
So the only one who's looking for a contract is Beniers and Yakamoto. And Yakamoto can't say anything to anybody. He's probably lucky to have a job. But you've got your Yanni Gord, your Jordan Eberle, and your Jaden Swartz that I'm sure had no problem speaking up. So I think you were correct. I think that was more of it was the group of veterans not having a problem saying what they wanted to say about the coach.
Right.
And enough of them stating it that, Ron Francis is like, well, I can't, because his team is going to be based on work ethic and not scoring a ton. And Beniers is about their only superstar.
Right.
So, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. This opens it up nicely for him to get the bod if Carolina decides to mess up with him, which I would put it at 50-50.
I think that's just such a silly mistake on Carolina's end. Like, you really think you're going to find somebody that gives you that much results from a head coaching role for cheaper?
I don't think the owner cares. I mean, he's a wacky, weird dude. So I don't think
maybe he's just thinking that, Quinville will come cheap.
Well, maybe. Quinville will come cheap.
Exactly.
He's not gonna be able to demand big bucks, but if you want to segue into that, there's enough openings. I gotta figure he's back next year. So we can talk about that during the summer. We can fill up an episode on that.
Yeah.
Where are we going to now? More playoffs?
More playoffs. I needed to talk about my biggest surprise is just the effort that's come out of the Vancouver Canucks has thoroughly impressed me. They did lose last night, which was unfortunate. I was really hoping that they'd end the series versus Nashville. But guys, they got 3 wins on 3 different goaltenders. Like, that's insane. I can't actually pronounce the curtain goaltender right now. I just refer to him as Abbotsford's starting goaltender. It's great. I've definitely, you definitely see a lot of surprises from the effort. I mean, the hat trick from Besser was great, but it's a lot of guys that you didn't necessarily expect to be like on the sheet for points or pulling as much effort as they're doing. And so one, I just would like Nashville to start golfing. And 2, it's just definitely surprised me, Vancouver, this far.
Yeah. I mean, I picked Nashville. And it looked like they were going to about wrap this thing up because, Demko got hurt. And then they really thought they had it. I couldn't have been scripted any better. They were up 3-1, not a ton of time left, and they just imploded. Simply imploded. It was phenomenal to watch. Anytime I can see those catfish throwing little people go through this, it's lovely. I mean, ideally for me, it's going basically the way I would like it. I would like neither home team to ever win, so both fan bases could sit there and watch loss after loss. But Vancouver's a talented team.
Yeah.
And this game, it was a perfect example how things can just change really quickly. And it just takes a little fluke.
Hey, you had 2 Carolina goals in 9 seconds.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that can change very fast in the playoffs.
Yeah, you've got that. We could segue straight into Dallas if you want to, and we're
jump into Dallas. Do you mind talking about Dallas? I really haven't watched them a ton because I know you're watching them.
Oh yeah, I am. And they're down. They lost the first 2 games at home. I figured it was over. Crusty old guys picked to win the cup out in the first round. Oh, the heckling I would get from people. Oh, the people with a lot more viewers than me would be yelling at me, saying, see, that idiot doesn't know what he's doing. That's why he doesn't have any followers. I don't know what followers are. Oh, damn it, I've got my real name.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Hey, it's on your Twitter, too.
All right. I'll take care of that. All right, I went completely blank. Basically, this has been a phenomenal series. 2 teams that can really protect the lead. They know how to shut it down. They understand the intricacies of this game, which unfortunately it's a lot of just chip the puck out and then battle through the whole neutral zone. It's chip the puck out in battles. Since they got rid of the red line, that's the biggest way everybody defends nowadays. Sorry, but my woman's in here bothering my dog. I know. So that's been fantastic. Dallas has done it with a lot of, not all of their top players hitting on all cylinders. Rope Hintz, I think, had been held scoreless until not tonight's game, but the game before that. And you hear that classic hockey cliche. If you're not putting in points, find other ways to contribute. Before he got his empty netter, an unbelievable gutsy block shot that really stung him. 15 seconds later, he got the puck and scored in the empty net to solidify the winning game 4. And Robertson with a good game tonight, and they won 3-2 tonight. The rest of them are going to be just as difficult. Vegas, for the first time, looked a little slower.
We love that.
And was not expecting for Dallas to keep on coming. Pietrangelo had a rough game, and they constantly were hounding him. Dallas has this number 11. I can't remember his name now, and I'm not going to go try to look it up. But he's a little dude. He's a rookie who's played out of his mind. One of those players that all of a sudden just comes out of nowhere. And Ottinger with a breakaway game-saving stop with about 1:45 to go today. Ottinger is completely on his game. So hopefully when crusty old guy's in Vegas, Vegas will be then eliminated.
That's the stink, number 11.
Huh?
That's the stink.
Yes.
That's Stankoven. He's awesome.
Yes. And he's had a phenomenal series.
Yeah.
Very noticeable. He's a tiny dude, though. But so that series has been great. It's everything that I like. I really enjoy when it's a little less scoring and everybody plays a little more conservative, because then it's every puck battle is just intense.
Yeah.
Everyone means so much. And there's 2 teams that have no problem battling it out. And kudos to Dallas so far, because, Vegas is they're a monstrous team.
They really are.
And, again, you've got to try to lock down Eichel, which isn't easy.
No. We're going to jump over the last 2 real quick. Colorado knocking out Winnipeg, just so we have time to talk about Rockford, because there's things to talk about with Rockford. Colorado knocking out Winnipeg in the first round. Big sad. And Edmonton's basically going to knock out Los Angeles tonight. Probably, maybe. We don't know. I'd like to see Los Angeles win, but I don't think it's going to happen. McDavid's going to be McDavid, and then unfortunately, I have to watch Corey Perry go to the second round.
Yeah. It's still 0-0 in the first. As far as the Colorado one, I mean, their goaltender couldn't stop anything, and I really thought it would come down to goaltending. Hellebuyck with a rough series and not a lot of help either. I'm a firm believer defense wins, but Colorado showed me that no, offense sometimes can win. So hats off to them. When they're all going, it's pretty impressive.
All right, let's jump to Rockford. We're in the playoffs, friends. Game 2 just ended like an hour ago, but Krusty went to game 1. You want to talk about your time at game 1?
I had a great time at game 1. Yeah, I decided to go to game 1, was able to get a ticket. About center ice, first row in the 200 level, right in the middle of the row, which, as all of your viewers know, I don't like the middle of the row, but if I'm in the first row, I can live with it. And also, it put me smack dab in the middle of nothing but season ticket holders all around me. So I got a lot of good Rockford insight, did a lot of talking about the team. Was witness to one of the greatest hockey chants that I've heard all year.
What?
There were 3 gentlemen who were sitting behind me. And for your fans that don't know, Rockford's team name is the Ice Hogs. So they've all got cowbells. Cowbells is a big thing at the Rockford games.
Yep.
So when they would sit there and clank their cowbell and yell at anybody who got up yelling, "Pucks in play, pucks in play." Oh, it was phenomenal. The guy sitting next to me said, they're just a little excited. I said, "Hey, it's playoff hockey. I get it." I go, "I'd like to take them home with me and bring them to the 300 level."
Yeah.
So it was great to witness playoff hockey. Rock the game, on the other hand, I'd much rather talk about the atmosphere.
Yeah.
It was really good. I got a good amount of talking. I felt like an outsider almost. I figured I wasn't worthy to be yelling as much as they were because they had already put in the time all year. I was just a poser down there for a game. But they did say, I need to come back. Unfortunately, the guy to my left kept on saying when they were up 2-0, well, if we win, you're going to have to come back for every game. We didn't talk afterwards after they lost, but a rough third period for the Hogs. No different than the big club. A couple mistakes and bing, bang, boom. They gave up 2 goals in the third, and overtime came. And then overtime was very weird.
The goal was bogus. It was
the goal was bogus, but the whistle never blew on the play.
Yeah, no, the whistle should have blown because according to the AHL handbook, Section 6, subsection 14.1, it clearly defines boarding, which is exactly what happened. And
right.
For the listeners, yes, I did Google and read a portion of the AHL handbook because I have no life.
Yes. Yes, it should have been a call. The refs put away their whistles in the third period. Plenty of stuff that could have been called in the third period that wasn't called. They decided they were going to let everything play out. With that being said, I was still underneath the mindset that that's the time you had to blow the whistle. Unfortunately for the Hogs, Philip Roos decides he wants to go start somebody who did the boarding, vacating his defensive position, And I would say at least 2 Ice Hogs and 2 Griffin players, so 2 on each side, basically quit skating. There was at least 4 or 5 skaters out there waiting for a call.
Yeah.
That didn't come. And then they, threw the puck all the way down to the other end. Kaiser was left one-on-one with somebody. They went around Kaiser and put a real softy past Scarber, who, was probably thinking the same thing. Are we really still playing? It was the sense that you got in the building. I had to yell at people going, they just lost. That counted. No, nobody could quite believe it. And then, people were littering stuff, which I'm never a big fan of.
Oh yeah. No, I don't.
So a really weird ending. That's why I'm very glad with the outcome tonight. You'd like to see them make a good run. And, but besides that, I believe they will be playing on the 4th. I don't know if that's Sunday.
5th.
The 5th is Sunday?
They play Sunday. Yes. They play on Sunday.
Which is the 5th, yes.
Little bit on game 2 because I did watch a portion of it on my way home. Comesso got the net. They're up in Grand Rapids. Good thing for the Ice Hogs is they have a very, very good track record in that building up in Grand Rapids for the entire season. So it's not a intimidating barn for them to go into. Again, the one goal that Grand Rapids scored, it was Roos and Kaiser. I really can't tell who specifically was out of place, but one of them's out of spot, and then it's, Grand Rapids battling one of the forwards for Rockford, and Comesso lets it in. I really, really hope we pick up a defenseman in the draft this year. Just because I want Rockford to have another defenseman. Because I'm not the biggest fan of that pairing necessarily. I think when Nolan Allen comes back, it might change. If he comes back at some point, if Rockford makes it super deep and Nolan Allen's back, I think that changes a little bit. But I'm really not the biggest fan of the Roos Kaiser pairing. Neither of them are playing defensively is neither of their main strong suits. So then put them together, it's a little frightening to watch sometimes. But otherwise, they outplayed Grand Rapids. 5 unanswered goals. It was pretty much a good night for everybody. Great night for DeMastro, who has looked very, very good in both games, in my opinion, for the postseason or for the playoffs. So we shall see what happens this weekend. Hopefully a win, because I'd like to go to round 2. And wait, you missed the most important part of game 1. Who did you see going into the elevator?
I'm not positive. I would assume, because it was about 6 guys in their suits. So I'm pretty sure I saw all the boys from the AHL. But, crusty old guy can't be coming up to a bunch of teenage boys and start going, "Hey, are you?" Just looks bad and probably scare the shit out of them.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, but yeah, I think most of the AHL players, I saw them taking the elevator up to the boxes before the game. So yeah.
And if the roster shows anything from these past 2 games, really the kids coming from juniors aren't really going to get any sort of ice time, barring any injuries going into the playoffs. That's okay. They're there to sit in the box and be like, hey, watch this. Colton Dock, DeMastro, Allen, they all did that a couple of years ago when they finished their run with the Thunderbirds, or not even completely. I think it was just Seattle didn't make it that far into the playoffs.
Right.
They came
2
over
years
to
ago.
Rockford.
Correct.
in the press box, they said, hey, watch. This is a part of the process. It doesn't mean anything. Veterans will go away. There will be spots open come next season, and they will have plenty more time. We will all see them next season. This is completely normal just because they're on a, amateur tryout, or if they've been officially assigned to Rockford and they're not playing, it's not a cause for concern. You want your veterans and the team that's, been working with each other the entire year going into the postseason, and you need your best foots forward on the ice.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head with basically, you've got a locker room of people that have battled all year together. You don't go throwing a couple of younger kids in there and saying, you haven't been in this fight with us at all. But, yeah, why don't you get some ice time? It's just not the way it works. It doesn't work well in hockey, I can tell you that.
No, I think they gave Ludwinski a little bit just because he did get, because the Frontenacs did get eliminated far earlier than any of the other guys that are coming to watch. So he was fortunate to get a couple of games, but it doesn't mean anything of, well, Lardis and Savoie didn't get any, Misiak and Savoie didn't get anything, and Lardis and Ludwinski got a couple of games. It means nothing. It truly means Ludwinski got eliminated before Savoie did.
Yep, that's it. So,
all right, to wrap up, pretty quiet on the Chicago front. Really don't have anything except for some dates for the future. The 2024 NHL draft lottery is 1 week from tomorrow. So 1 week from when y'all are listening to this. Should be interesting. Just as a reminder, just because we finished second to last, that does not guarantee us a number 2 spot. We probably will not get the number 1 spot unless Gary Bettman decides to be really obvious and rig it for Chicago once again. But otherwise, it's not happening. You can move up 3. So hypothetically, we could take 1. And what is the furthest that we could drop, Krusty?
4. You won't go past 4.
So 1, 2, 3, or 4 is what we can get. There's different, percentages, but it's how the lottery balls are going to fall. We'll probably record after the lottery so we can have some sort of opinion on, how it went. So that is in a week. Then you've got the combine June 2nd to the 8th. This is prior to the draft, when basically all the scrawny 17, 18-year-olds work out in front of a bunch of general managers and hockey people, and they get judged for it. And then the draft is June 28th and 29th. We'll be talking pretty much most of June about the draft, have our theories. We'll get real nerdy with it like we did last year. The off-ice development camp for the Blackhawks is going to be June 30th to July 5th. Yes, that was sarcasm in my voice because I hate this concept, but moving on. Free agency for the NHL starts July 1, and then you've got prospect camp, which is in St. Louis, which is wild to me, September 11th through the 15th. And then training camp starts September 18th.
Well, we've been, as far as the rookie camp, we've been doing it with St. Louis and Minnesota. So last year it was in Minnesota. This year it'll be in St. Louis. So I'm under the impression that next year should be here, if the front office could figure out how to actually facilitate that.
They won't, because that would require them to do their job. But I don't want to say not too little too late, but I want this thing in July because I want to see the college kids play, but maybe next year.
You're never going to see it again. So that is over. As much as I hated to see it go, when you look at the complete semantics about it, if it is actually when these kids are having downtime to make them ramp up and skate, doesn't make a lot of sense anymore. So I'm, as much as I hate it, and I hate Kyle for doing it, I think it was their lazy way out to begin with. It has some merit in just the way things are nowadays.
That no,
they take time off and get away from the ice completely. Yes?
Right. I'm saying I'm pretty sure we're one of the few teams that does it. Everybody else does stuff in July.
I think you're going to see more and more teams not. And, you know, it's just with the coming of the times, you see enough of them during college. You see them enough of them in juniors that, you know, you should have a good grip on what their game is. It stinks for the fans like us.
Right.
Who it was a really nice way to meet parents of players and kind of we've had incredible back and forth at many a prospect camp with different parents and just talking to people.
Gustav Forsling's dad, I still remember talking to him.
Yeah, so I mean, it sucks for us.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not the end of the world for them. It does have some merit. You know, what are you going to do? Things come to change. And I guess I shouldn't be the big baby in the corner wanting everything done my way.
Wow, you're going to make me be the baby in the corner about it?
Yep.
That's fine.
You're off on your baby in the corner island.
I'm perfectly fine being in the baby in the corner for this because it was very fun to see kids, you know, from juniors playing with college kids where you don't see that dynamic at any point, maybe ever, if, you know, one side, you know, gets traded before they make it to Chicago or they just don't make it up at all. You got to see interesting things. And I'm also really selfish and I want to see Connor Bedard play with Oliver Moore. And I'm not unrealistic for wanting that.
No, but you wouldn't have seen that anyways.
What do you mean?
Because it's prospect camp. Connor Bedard is not a prospect anymore.
No, but I'm saying last year I could have seen it.
I hear you.
Which is why I don't like it. But it's okay. It's not about me. And I'll get training camp September 18th.
There you go.
So that is pretty much all. Do you have anything else to add for this week, Christy?
No, I don't. I think we gotta leave stuff for filler all summer. So no, I don't know exactly. I will be on hockey no watch or hockey lockdown a little bit. So you better do some extra watching. Crusty Old Guy's heading to Vegas tomorrow, and I'm not just going to be hanging out watching hockey. I got some gambling to do and some golf to play. All right. I won't be watching a lot of hockey.
All right. Well, I will because I have no life. So that is all for this week. Just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, however you watch or listen to us on a weekly basis. Tell your friends, tell your coworker, tell everybody. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you want to be on an episode, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. You can follow Crusty Old Guy on Twitter, guys. He finally did it.
That's right. I am. I don't check it. Does that make any difference?
No, but you probably should tweet because it would be funny. Guys, go.
How do I tweet?
I'll show you.
Okay.
That is all for this week, and we will talk at you guys next week.